First. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about dating ... question mark
Basically.
from two certified experts on dating and relationships, obviously.
I don't know about extroverts.
And I'm not talking about letters before or after our names. I'm talking about like life experience for sure.
You mean real life experiences. Got it. Well, that, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I can't say I have a whole
Absolutely.
lot of experience, but I guess I would say that I recently joined a dating app, and I was like, oh, this is what people are talking about. Like, it's tough out there. It's really tough. I I joined this dating app for Christian singles, and the first day on it, some guy matches with me. I'm just to try to figure out the whole app was interesting. And as you know, I have been like super against like dating apps. Like, don't see the point of them. You can meet somebody the old-fashioned way. Like, why do you need a dating app? So, like, let me see how this works out. So I give in and I try this. And the first day, guy reaches out and then says, give me your Snapchat. And I don't know why, I just automatically knew, oh, this isn't going anywhere. And then I give him my Snapchat, and then he sends me a message on Snapchat and basically says, long story short, like, come over, let's drink up.
And you're over here diagnosing alcoholic.
I'm like, do you live with your mom, or do you live by yourself?
Like qualities.
Like, you know, I mean, the bio didn't really say much, right? It said his name and his age, and that was, you know, we were about the same age. But it led to nothing. It led to just, I mean, I don't know if he was looking for a hookup. I kind of made it clear on my bio that it's not going to happen, but I mean, he wanted to shoot his shot, and he did, and he was turned down. But it's just like, if that was my first experience, right, on a dating app, I was like, I'm going to get out of this. Like, this is crazy. I can't imagine, right, what other people go through. And I wonder, how do other people maneuver through dating apps? Because I hear of people having successful stories, you know, people end up married, or, you know, in relationships, long lasting relationships. And I just wonder, like, how did that happen? Like, is there like, do you all have the same dating app in common? You know, or is it different dating apps? You know, I don't know, but I just felt like my first experience was that. And I didn't understand the point of this app of like liking somebody's profile and then super liking somebody's profile, and then they like match you, and then I guess you're supposed to start a conversation. It's just so different, you know, than meeting someone face to face and deciding like, we're gonna go out on a date, you know, or we like each other, let's exchange numbers. Like, it's completely different. So I don't know what you have experience in dating apps, but I tried it and I'm done.
So you were basically on a dating app for a whole 5 seconds and you're like, no.
I mean, I'd rather be single. You know, I had a friend send me a meme saying, if, you know, especially around this times, right? As, you know, with my family, with like friends, it's always like, when are you getting married? Are you bringing a boyfriend? You know, is there somebody in the picture and whatnot? There's always those questions. And I feel like for a lot of people that comes up especially during these times, right? Because you see the family a lot, There's a lot going on. And so there's that, I guess, expectation, right? So I'm thinking of this meme that my friend sends me and says, if you're ever like doubted or were concerned or something like that of being single, just go on a dating app and you appreciate being single even more. I did. And I agree 100% with that meme. Like,
yes,
I was like, I think I'm okay. I don't think I want to do. You know what? I'm good by myself. This works. And some of the things that are placed on the bios of some of these guys is like
ridiculous.
some of it I think is really ridiculous, and some of it I thought like, I mean, he's being honest, you know, like one
Is
of the
he
guys.
though?
I guess I don't know, right? But for example, there's this one guy who was like, I'm a Trump supporter, and if you're not a Trump supporter, like we're not a match, like basically, you know, because I don't wear a mask, I don't believe in, you know, the vaccine or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, why are you on here? And I don't understand.
You're on the wrong app. Yes.
So he says, he says, looking, you know, for a relationship. And I think it said, if, you know, don't connect with me if you have tattoos, if you don't go to church, if you got the vaccine, or if you believe in the vaccine. I was like, okay, next. You know, I'm like, at least you're not wasting my time, you know. And so like the other guy was like, can I get your Snapchat? No, you're wasting my time. You know, like be honest, put it on your bio, and then I can hit next and not worry about you, you know? I'm sure there
The
are, you
difference
know,
is though that you actually read the bios.
yeah.
Right? And I think it also depends on the dating app, because there are some dating apps where it gives you ample room to talk a lot about yourself, or give off certain aspects of yourself,
Mhm.
for the people that actually read them, like you and I, because I'm just like you. I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to read your profile before I, swipe right or left on you. Um, Unless your picture's just freaky as fuck, and then it's like, no.
Then we're just that you're gonna be
It's just not
not
gonna happen.
you're not gonna make
Um,
it cool.
but that to me, like you, it matters. If you haven't, and you can tell right away, at least in my experience, when somebody hasn't read your profile, because they ask you questions that are on your profile, or they start off with, hey, give me your WhatsApp, or give me your Snapchat, or give me your whatever. And I'm like, I don't have social media, so sorry. It's not gonna happen. And if that's what you're going after, then sorry, I'm gonna unmatch you, because I don't have time for this.
Right, right. And I think that's, well, at least for me, I had never been on a dating app. So this being my first, I guess, real experience with it, I was just like, why bother, you know? And then I don't know, right? There's from what I have like heard in research, there are dating apps that you pay for, and then there's dating apps that are free, right? And I guess I just wonder, so I haven't done any kind of research on that. I just wonder, like, is there a difference? You know, do you get more of a serious crowd if you're paying for it, or is it the same?
That's actually a really good question. I've been on dating apps on and off for a number of years. And every time that I get back on dating apps, I look at the reviews to see, okay, would it even be worth paying. And this last time that I got back on them, I was really mindful of what the reviews are saying, and a lot of the dating, the ones that you pay for, they were saying pretty much the same things as the ones that you don't pay for. So I guess it really depends on the dating app. The thing is, there's always new ones coming out anyways, and it just seems like it's about the same process. And what's really funny to me is that the same people that are on, the one with the yellow bee are the ones that are the one with the fire, the one with the fish, or the one with, and it's like, okay, if I'm looking at the same people in different apps, what's the point? Right?
Right.
Did I lose you there for a second? So I don't know. And I find it kind of funny that a lot of men put on their profile, I'm doing this again, or I'm trying this again. And it's like, so at what point are you going to change your profile? At what point are you going to try a different approach? Which obviously I could say the same thing about myself, but if the profile that you had didn't work, maybe change it up a little, maybe, change your preferences, maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I feel like every time I get on a dating app, it's honestly starting the first step of, for me, only because my time is so limited, thinking about getting on a dating app, it's like, okay, what is more painful, going to the dentist or getting on a dating app? Because it sucks. It is so not fun.
It is not. No, it is not fun to go to the dentist, but I'll go to the dentist before I get on another dating app again.
Right? But it shouldn't be like that. Like, I'm not looking forward to going through the same motions with somebody new. Right. And it's like, okay, you're eventually gonna ghost me anyways. You're eventually gonna lose interest. You're eventually gonna unmatch me. You're eventually gonna, unless I really see that you're invested in this, why am I putting effort into this? So, it's a really strong love-hate relationship with dating apps, because I don't know, sometimes I'm like, am I just looking at the bottom of the barrel here?
Right.
What is
right.
happening?
Right. And, and I think it goes both ways, right? Like, I think, some men may feel the same way. Like, am I looking at the bottom of the barrel, right? Just like how we feel. I see on social media, like a lot of these, like a lot of people looking, right, for a significant other. But, I wonder, post-pandemic times and just how much things have changed, how much of an effect has it had on dating? Because are people looking for someone now just for the sake of looking for someone? Because, pandemic came and probably took some loved ones, and you're like, man, it's probably time for me to just find somebody. So let me just figure this out. Or, are they really looking for someone for the sake of looking for someone because they truly want to fall in love and they truly want to have a family with somebody, or they truly want to be compatible with somebody? I just wonder how much of that has changed, because I see it all the time on social media, like, men looking to be in a relationship, and then, women looking to be in a relationship, but the ideas of a relationship are not very clear. There's this guy I follow on social media, or I used to follow him because I think I unfriended him now. He was looking for a relationship. I've known this guy, I think, from high school, and I just had him on Facebook, and he was looking, he always talks about like, oh, I'm dating this girl, or I'm dating that girl, and I'm going to cook for her, and I have my own place, and I have my own car, and I have a good job, and I'm a good looking man. And he's a very attractive man. That I will give him. He's a good looking man. But when he is promoting himself on social media is terrible, he comes off as like, too good to be true. And, I have all this going on. And unless she's willing to bring like something huge to the table, like she brings nothing, and although I think some things of what he's saying make sense, it's like, well, I mean, what are you really looking for? Because I mean, we've seen a few girls parade through your Facebook and none of them seem to have what you want. So do you even know what you want? Or are you just, or this is just a way to let everybody know how much swag you have and how amazing you are and how all these women want you, but you're just holding off for the perfect one, whoever that may be, right? But do you even know what you want? Because right now it sounds like you don't. But a lot of things he was saying were very ridiculous things, and I'm like, here's a guy who looks like he has it going on, who looks like he does pretty well for himself, who is attractive, yet no matter who comes across, that's what the other side of the screen says, right? Like, to me, I see that, I'm like, well, you seem to be having a good time with the other one because you put it all on social media, so what happened? You decided to cut her off, what do you really want? Do you even know what you want? And the same thing, right? For some of the ladies, like, it's not very clear on what they want. And it's like, is this you not wanting to settle? Is this you trying to figure out what you want? Like, is this you coming out of the pandemic saying, I just need to find someone, and then you realize, wait a minute, no,
you look good. I'm gonna bring you home.
And then you're like, oh wait, no, I can't do that. I can't just bring somebody home just like that, So I don't know. I think about all of those things and I wonder, right? Like, I think the dating pool is hard. It's dating world is hard. I can't imagine how some people are doing it right now. And I wonder, right, that people then start to get on dating apps just to kill time during the pandemic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they could have.
Yeah. I've been, only because I've been writing this relationship program, that eventually I definitely want to launch at least in a few weeks. And I've had to revisit a lot of my beliefs surrounding relationships. And some of them, I have been in an open marriage. I am open to polyamory. There's a lot of unconventional things that I've had to kind of shift in my thinking, especially coming from a household where it was going to be a one man, one woman situation for the rest of my eternal life, regardless of how miserable that person made me. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I've been watching a lot of TED Talks and I find it fascinating. Number one, we live in a culture where if you think of Disney, right? The woman always has to be the victim. The guy always has to rescue the girl. And there's really not a lot of relationship work. They just look at each other and it's happily ever after, right? And then when it comes to real life, it's like, doesn't happen because you don't just look at somebody and it's, rainbows and butterflies and there's no work in the relationship and you live happily ever after. Right. But then there's also that belief that, going back to what you were saying of, this person needs to fulfill my every need, right? 100% without anybody else in the picture. So they need to satisfy me emotionally. They need to satisfy me physically. In every aspect that you think of, this magical unicorn needs to do everything for you and probably fulfill needs that you don't even know you had, right? At the same time, being able to make you feel safe enough for you to let your freak out without any judgment. But, are you willing to offer the same thing? And so I find it fascinating that we have this, is it even realistic idea of what our partners should be for us when we can't even do that for ourselves. I am self-aware enough to realize that I need other people in my life to fulfill areas in which I'm not as strong. And it's not one person, it's going to be several people, right? When it comes to my career, there are people that I talk to, there are people that I engage in, there are people that I work with that satisfy that need to validate my career, right? How good I am, how bad I am, whatever it might be. Areas in my personal life, my kids, just there's different people that fill those needs. So why do I have this unrealistic idea in my head that one person is going to be my everything? That's just my thinking though. Nothing wrong if that's what you have, but then you continue to have very unfulfilling relationships because that person doesn't meet your needs. And because we live in a world where it's so easy to get on a dating app and say, okay, you have about 80% of what I want, that 20%, I'll fix you enough so that you can get close to that 100%, right? And if you don't work out, then I'm going to go back on a dating app and find somebody that maybe is at an 85%, so I don't have to put that much work into it. I'll invest some time in you. You didn't turn out what I need you to do. I'm going to go back on a dating app and find somebody else. And so it's this rotating relationship door that we have because it's unrealistic to think that that one person is going to be that 100% for us.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. I am one and I know we've had many conversations about this. I am one to think, right, the traditional way. That's, I guess, where I fall, right? I prefer that. And I think that this brings up a really good point on how much we put on a partner. Now, I've been single for a really long time. I've had the opportunity, I feel, of looking at my past relationships and seeing how much I put on that partner and how much that partner put on me, right? Because I do think that you have a great point when you say it is unrealistic to think that that one person is just going to fulfill, right, every single need. But I feel like for those that are open to being in an open relationship, and whether it is open marriage, open relationship, or polyamory, whatever it is that they're open to, for those that are open to it, they're open to it, right? There's a different dynamic there. But I think for those that are not open to that, I think it gives us the opportunity to look at ourselves and see, why are we putting all of this on our partner? Because I think it is unrealistic. Happiness, for example, being one of them, right? One of the things that is talked about constantly, in that there's the one person or both in the relationship that put happiness on the other partner. And in our reality, like, if the happiness is not within you, it doesn't really matter who you date.
Right.
You're not going to have it, right? And a lot of the times I believe that people are looking in relationships for validation about themselves. So if you're insecure, you're looking for your partner to make you feel secure. If you're not happy, you're looking for your partner to make you happy. If you're not content in life, you're waiting for your partner to make you content. And really, the partner can't do any of those things. It's the partner cannot change things about yourself or satisfy certain things about yourself when you have not satisfied them within yourself. And I think that a lot of that has to do with religion, cultural background. I mean, where did you grow up? Your environment has a lot to do with that, because if you grew up, in a specific household with a specific religious belief, with a specific, cultural background, then you're going to grow up believing certain things. Like, with my parents, I always believe that, well, my dad doesn't make my mom happy, or well, my dad makes my mom happy. And it's like, well, how about you're just happy for the sake of being happy, right? And then I grew up, with the belief that you just need to find a good husband. And in order for you to find a good husband, you need to be a good wife and a good woman. And you need to be pure, and you need to want to stay at home and take care of the kids. And you need to know how to cook really well, because if you cook really well, then you find a great husband. That's really, if you can take care of the man, you're fine. And it's also right, that thought that if your man cheated, if your man left, if your man is not providing, if whatever your man is doing that is negative, it's your fault. You weren't a good wife, right? Then it goes on to kids and all that stuff, right? But I think that, it really does open up the opportunity for, I'm not saying us as just women, but just partners in general, to really sit back and say like, well, wait a minute, what am I putting on my partner? Am I putting something on my partner that I should be working on for myself? Because then that means that if you don't have a partner in your life, then you're never going to be happy. If you don't have a partner in your life, then you're never going to be secure. And really, insecurities go much deeper than just a relationship,
Absolutely.
And so I think, there's a lot of those key things. And I think, for those that are open to being in open relationships, however those come, then they're going in right with the understanding that there are going to be multiple people in that relationship that are going to satisfy whatever need they're looking for to get satisfied. I think that for those that are not open to something like that, I think it is a great opportunity to look within ourselves and say, what is it that we're doing here? And what needs are we looking? Are we looking for needs to be met in a relationship? Are we looking for a partner that has certain things in a relationship that are only going to complement, the partnership? What are we doing? And I think those are important things. We hear all the time, right? When there's infidelity in the relationship, when one person decided to walk out on the other person because they're just not doing, what they want. And it's like, that's not really how it works. It's a partnership. I don't just get to mold you and sure, some people do it. I'm not saying they don't, but I shouldn't have to mold you into something I want. You should be what I want by me getting to know you, by me like having a relationship with you. Then, I will know if this is what I want, but I shouldn't want to change you to fit to what I want. Because then you're not being yourself, you're just being a version of yourself that I created or that I manipulated, right? And then you see people that are miserable. You see a lot of women, a lot of men who, after years of marriage, they're getting a divorce and they're figuring it out and they're living their best life. And people are like, what are you doing? You're in your 40s or 50s. You shouldn't be going out to the clubs. Well, guess what? Betty over there didn't get to go to the club at 20 because she was at home to take care of the kids. So she's at the club at 40. She's trying to figure out what she liked. And this goes, for me, I feel like this goes into a lot of what is normal or considered normal in a Hispanic household. In how, we were talking about females and males and how there's a lot of emphasis on the woman being just the wife and the one who takes care of the kids, and then the rest, you cease to exist, and for men, you're the provider, and if you can't provide, you're not a man. That's a lot of pressure to put on a man. I can't imagine how many families went through so much during COVID time that things shifted. We're seeing a shift now, right, where women are making more money than the man in the home, and they become the head of household, and that's a conflict for some people.
Absolutely, for sure. You brought up a lot of really good points that, first of all, our Latino beliefs there's pros and cons, just like in every culture, right? Like you, I grew up in a household where I did see how dysfunctional my parents' relationship was. I did see how unhappy they were together. And it was ingrained in my brain that my role, I had to get an education, but it wasn't gonna be, it was important, but my role was really finding a husband and being a mother, right?
Yep.
Um, and I remember it very vividly, and I think I've shared this with you. While I was going to graduate school, my mom, and I had little ones, my mom, she's always been my 1000% fan and, has always supported me. But she asked me, actually, she told me, she's like, your place is at home. Why are you in school? And to me, that was really impactful because I was proud of the fact that, I had come this far, completed my master's, was working on my doctorate. Of course, it was hard. And I had, at the time, I had a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old at home. So, her question was, why are you doing this to yourself when your place is at home raising kids? Right. And as I get older, I understand where that's coming from because that's the kind of expectation that she grew up in. However, I'm trying to change that expectation with my daughter. The other day I asked her, baby, do you think you're ever going to get married? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, baby, do you think you're going to get married to a guy or a girl? And she's like, I don't know. And to me, that's empowerment because she understands at 11 years old, she doesn't have to get married. That is not something that I expect her to do. She doesn't have to get married to a guy or a girl. Right. She can do what she wants to do. She has those options. She can make those choices without there being, that mandate of this is your role and this is the only thing that you can do because of your gender, because you come from a Latino household, because that's what women in the family have always done, right? And so we live in this country where obviously there are a lot more liberties that you have as a woman, right? Would I ever discuss with my parents what I've done in the past and what I'm open to doing now when it comes to my relationships? Probably not. Yes, the holidays come along and my family's like, are you bringing anyone? Is there anybody in your life? And it's always been no. I don't bring anyone because I haven't found that person that I guess will meet my needs the way that I need them to be met. And so, again, that definition of insanity of if you continue to do the same thing with expecting different results, I need to make a change. If a one person situation is not working for me, who's to say that two people won't, right? Because again, if this person allows me to be comfortable being the academic, being the head of household, being the more dominant one in the relationship, and I'm happy in those roles with that person, then I can have, another person who is well aware of what's going on with partner A. Partner B can let me be that submissive, can let me be that person that I don't have to make every decision every day, all day long, right? I can allow them to take care of me. I can allow that vulnerable side of me come out without that judgment. Because can I find somebody that's going to be able to do both things? Possibly, but I'm tired of looking, honestly. It's exhausting. Doing those dating app conversations, and then it's like it's a script that you follow, right? You message, they message, hey, how's your day going? You do a little chatting. Hey, you want to exchange numbers? You do some more chatting. Eventually you meet, maybe you FaceTime. It's like these steps that you have to follow. You message on the app, you exchange numbers, then you text, then maybe you do a FaceTime call, then you decide to meet up. Then it's like, I'm tired. I almost want to go to, Target and just put together a partner with everything that I want.
Add to cart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because dating is not fun. It's
Mm,
really not. I think, and honestly, I think that dating apps have taken the joy, the excitement, the curiosity out of dating because maybe I'm just burnt out on them.
maybe. Yeah, I can't speak much on dating apps other than my lovely experience. Um, and but I think, at least for me, my family stopped asking a long time ago if I was bringing somebody. I think they were like, Diana's just gonna go to school, and I don't think she's even worried about it.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think one of the points that you were making made me think also. My mom I think has been more hands off as far as dating. My dad's been more hands on about it.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason he thinks like, your past experiences shouldn't get the best of you. There's somebody else.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm sure there is, Dad. I just haven't found him yet, like,
Right.
so I think, right, my parents would always tell me like, well, my mom would say this, you need to like marry a doctor, somebody who's financially stable, so then you don't ever have to like worry about money, and like you don't have to work if you don't want to. And at that time I was young. I was 15, 16 years old, and I was like, okay, where am I going to find a doctor? Like, and I think now I'm like, well, I'm going for my doctorate. So is the same level, is that expectation still the same, that
Mm-hmm.
now because I am working on a doctorate, should I be finding someone who's my equal there? Or is it still like, you just need to find a good man and just get married? It really doesn't matter the status of the man.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about that as you were saying that, because it's like, I find it that some men, not all men, but some men can get highly intimidated by what you have going on, and
Yes.
they either will not pursue you, or they will feel like they'll take on the wrong impression. And there's some men that
Mm-hmm.
are level of confidence, it is so high.
We were talking
We were
about
just
that.
talking about that they don't care. They're going to shoot their shot. And I mean, who knows? It may just
With
take.
no job, no
Yes,
car, no
and
house,
so,
living with their parents.
but it works, right? For some it works. For some it's like, it's the best thing because they found somebody that is okay with that, right? Um, so it's hard, right, when you're in this specific role, in a specific bracket, because it's like, it's not a happy medium, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
the minute there's that doctor in front of your name, there's a different expectation, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, like, am I ever going to be able to like find someone who's not intimidated by that? And then I don't know, right? As psychology majors, I feel like we talk about things that maybe most people won't talk about, or they're not
Mm-hmm.
comfortable talking about in a group setting. And I'm not going to say we're an open book, because I think there's things that we don't share with a lot of people, right? There's kind of that
Mm-hmm.
group that you need to have. And so I feel like, being a psychology major, I seek more from the other person than I ever did
Mm-hmm.
before. Not that I seek something like that they need to give me or fulfill in me, but it's like, I want to have a decent conversation. Can we do that? Can we talk about the things that you probably wouldn't talk about with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we've talked about polyamory, we've talked about BDSM, right? And I'm not in any of these communities, but I'm open to that conversation, to have a healthy
Right.
conversation about these things. Now, those are just some of the things, right, that we are like open to talking about. And give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So, those, I'm not part of those communities. I'm not part of those things, but I am open to having those conversations. And let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, but let's talk about something else other than, like what club you want to go to next, and what drink you had last night, and what kind of weed you like, and like, can we talk a little bit more? Like, I don't want to know about how your coworker like cheated on his girlfriend. Great, thanks. Good gossip, but that can't be the conversation that we have for an hour. Like there's got to be more to it. It's got to be more interesting, right? And I feel like I seek that more now than I did before. I'm more aware of certain things. I'm curious about certain things. I'm more open to certain things than I ever was before. And that's hard to find, it's hard to find. It's hard to find someone that's going to give you that mental stimulation. And it can come from many different things, and then it's really hard because there are some men who are very interesting people and they're good people, but that connection is not there and they don't see it. And that level of intellect, and you don't have to go to school, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to do any of those things. You just have to have an open mind and really want to talk about these things in a very healthy and educational way. And there's some guys that don't have that, just like there's some ladies, right, that don't have that. I mean, it happens everywhere when you're creating friendships. So I wonder, as I think about all of these things, it's like, sure, I won't find someone that, I do believe that you never find someone that fulfills your needs at 100%. I mean, I don't think that's realistic thinking. I think that you find someone who you're compatible with, who you match pretty well with, and who gets closer to that 100%, not at 100% yet, but you get closer to that. And I think that there's key things that come with that person that may make you say, you know what, this is where I'm going to stay because I like this. I can work with this, right? Now, if you're open to having multiple partners, right, then you have the one partner, what needs they fulfill, and that chemistry, whatever it is that you're looking for that partner. And then you're like, you know what, I need a partner that does this. Then you look for that and that partner. But I don't think it's so complicated. I think us as people have made it complicated because we're so focused on other stuff.
Well, I think it also has a lot to do with growth, right? Some people are okay with staying stagnant or staying wherever it is that they're at. And at least when I work with couples, I can see the disparity. I can see the difference of, when you met, you were probably both on the same level. You were on the same wavelength. The connection was easier, but one of you outgrew the other.
Yeah.
And so then that's where that disconnect comes in, right? That's where the infidelity comes in. That's where the need for excitement comes in. I was watching a TED Talk today, and she was talking because it was about control and the fact that we don't necessarily have control, and letting go of things. And so she was saying, we are human beings that have been created to find excitement, have curiosity, have growth, have, move forward. And the idea of just staying in a relationship that doesn't grow, staying in a relationship that doesn't give you that level of excitement, because it doesn't come naturally. After you've been with somebody for so long, that excitement, unless you put a lot of work into it and, you're creating opportunities for excitement, it's not going to happen. Right. And so, does your partner excite you? Probably not the same way. Probably not in, the ways that they did in the beginning. So that's where a lot of relationships, I guess, not necessarily fail, but don't have that level of connection anymore because it stops being exciting. I stopped working on the relationship because I'm comfortable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're home, you're here. I don't have
Mhm.
to go chasing after you anymore. You already know me. You've seen me ugly cry. You've seen me at my worst. You've seen me fall apart, and you're still here,
Yeah.
right? And so, but I also need you to find me sexy, and I also need you to just want to have sex with me, and just look at me, and just find me interesting and fulfill your every need and desire, right? It's not going to happen. And so, it's hard to think of, it's not necessarily that your partner fails. I think that we fail in relationships, if you even want to call it failure, because we stop being interesting. We stop being curious about the relationship because we outgrow our partners, because they're not there with us. And that's when we look for somebody that does give us that.
I'm glad you brought up this point because I've had several conversations with moms, a lot of moms, and the subject of infidelity and the subject of sex. A lot of moms, the minute that pregnancy comes in the picture, a lot of things change, and a lot of things happen with their body, with their hormones, but just emotionally, everything just changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when kids are very present, again, right, uh there's this idea, right, that even if the woman works, and I don't know how it is with other ethnic, backgrounds. I can only speak for what I see in Hispanic households, is that even if the woman works, she still has to come home and take care of the kids. But if the man works, he doesn't have to come home and take care of the kids. And I find interesting that sometimes I'd hear people say, oh, sí, mi esposo me ayuda con mis hijos. My husband helps me with my kids.
They're
Well,
his kids
it's
too.
true,
He's
right?
not doing you
And what do
a
you mean
favor.
he helps you with the kids? I don't have children, but that irks me. Like it irks. I'm not a mom, and I'm mad for them. Like, I'm like, what do
Yes.
you mean? What do you mean he helps you? This isn't like you didn't make a
He's not
choice of
doing
having
you a
these kids by
favor.
yourself.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like, oh, like he's helping me out so much. He's supposed to, like, in a team. I think of a soccer team
Mm-hmm.
has different players, right? And don't ask me how many they have. I have no idea, but I know that they each have a role, right? And sometimes they
Right.
have two that have the same role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they're playing, they have to have this chemistry, right, of being able to not only play as a team, but also like know where the other player is at, being able to throw the ball to the other player, because the goal at the end of the day is to score on the other team. That's the goal
Right.
at the
Right.
end. But they're not working independently. The what do you call it, the middle person, the one that runs, and takes off with the ball, doesn't say, oh, he helped me out. No, they're a team. They work together because the goal is the same.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as like, oh, thanks for like making that pass. Like, thank you for helping me out. That whole there is no I in team. No, there isn't. But there's also no I in that partnership there with parenting. What do you mean you're helping? Like, no, it's like a
Yeah.
soccer team. You each
Hey.
have a role. Play your role so that at the end, you wanted to have a child and you wanted to enjoy your child. There's a lot of phases to enjoying a child's life, and it's beautiful. I love kids. I can go on for days about kids, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but there's so many beautiful um, seasons of a child that as a parent you can absolutely live. That's not just for the mom to live it or just for the dad, right? Because we're seeing that a lot more too, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
dad is the one that's responsible, right, for certain things in households. So it's a partnership, right? If a partner decided to, it's best for one of us to stay home, the other one to go out and work, you're probably better, whatever the case may be, you're working together for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
your household, right? That's the goal. So I have this conversation with a lot of moms because There's the expectation that if it's a working mom, like that she has to go out to work, 8 to 5, a 9 to 5 job. Then she has to come home. She has to cook. She has to clean. She has to wash clothes. She has to take care of the kids, feed the kids, wash the kids, talk to the kids, do homework with the kids. It's like you have to do all of these things with a child. You don't just have the kid, right? So, and then, the husband comes home. If the husband, worked, husband comes home. Now she also has to take care of him, oh, and then, hopefully she remembers to shower and brush her teeth, shave her legs, and, if they get waxes and they go do that, and get your nails done and make sure your hair is kept up and make sure your eyebrows are not bushy. And, if you get your lashes done, make sure you do that too. And then comes, 9, 10 o'clock at night when it's time to go to bed. Oh, you also need to be ready to have sex. Well,
and be enthusiastic about it and have as much energy as as if it's the first time,
right? Yes. And it's like, wait a minute, this woman just went and did a whole shift at work. She came home, she had to wash dishes, she had to make food if she had to make it, or if she had to buy food, like serve the food, wash the dishes, clean the house. If they have pets, figure out the pet situation. If the kids have homework, do this, do that. Maybe the husband helped, maybe by doing the homework. So then that gave her the opportunity to go take, the load of laundry that was in the dryer, and she now needs to
fixing dinner. Yeah.
Maneuvering through all of these things. And then she still needs to be enthusiastic about the possibilities of having sex, and then possibly doing some of the work herself. I'm tired just talking about it. Imagine how, and I have this conversation, and my question was like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Because,
well, and here's the thing, you didn't mention at all about her taking care of herself, as in self-care, right?
Oh, right, because let me tell you, some people will think that taking a bath is self-care. Some people will think that, because she went and got a Brazilian wax, that was self-care. That was maintenance, honey. That was maintenance. That was it. That wasn't you having a break from the kids, having a break from the husband, going out, with your friends, your sisters, your cousin, your mom, whoever, to disengage from life. Because, the boys' night that your husband had was without kids, probably some drinks, some friends, maybe not conversation about relationships or anything like that. It was football, soccer, whatever it is that they're into. And where was your time out, right? And it's difficult, right? Because I realize that as I'm having these conversations with these ladies, it's like they feel a sense of responsibility to be with their kids 24/7. They actually feel very guilty about having to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea of leaving their child with the husband or a babysitter so that they can just regroup, it's very, very hard for them to even consider. And so, the more I had these conversations, the more it was like, wow, like, there's a high expectation, that you're supposed to be able to do all these things. And then I'm not saying that certain men don't have pressure, because a lot of men have that pressure of, I know I need to go out there, find a really good job that makes me really decent money, and that allows me to provide for my family, regardless of whether my wife is working or not. I need to be able to do that. And then for the moms that work from home, and I mean like the stay-at-home moms, they're the ones that have to do the laundry, the food, the grocery shopping, the paying the bills, like little Johnny got hurt at school. There she goes to pick him up. There she goes to drop them off. All of those things, the husband still has to worry about providing for her and for however many children they have. And that's a lot of pressure, especially in this day and age, right? That's a lot of pressure to have when your rent is no less than $1,500 anymore. Right. And so you at the very least need to make $5,000 to barely make it, as a couple. So that stress, right, can get to them. And it's like, then they're coming home and there's arguing and no sex and no food and no nothing. Like both partners are fed up. And yeah, the chances of cheating do increase because there's nothing to look forward to. I with the ladies that I would have these conversations with, the moms that I would have these conversations with, it was hard. It's hard for them to have to do some of these things, and then for them to want to do some of these things. Some of these women want to have sex with their husbands or their boyfriends or whoever it is. They don't have the energy to do that. They don't even want to shave their legs. They're like, I'm exhausted. I'd like, uninterrupted sleep for one night, like good, just uninterrupted sleep. And in that in itself, right? Getting 8 hours of sleep is so difficult being a parent. And then you're just supposed to be able to function on that. And some of these women want to have date night with their significant others, some of these men want to have date night, and I hear both sides, because I've asked the same questions to some of the men, like, how do you do it when your wife does not want to disengage from the children and you want to have some alone time and you do want to romance her, and you do because you heard a podcast or you heard someone say it, right? And you want to do those things. How do you do that when she doesn't want to disengage from the children, right? So again, I felt like in a relationship, as a partnership, you always work at it. It's like a friendship, right? Friendships die because somebody let it die. They don't just die because both people worked at making it work. When you work on a relationship, on a marriage, then you start to see the difference. You listen to the person, you hear the person out, right? You understand the other person's love language. You understand the way that they communicate, and you work at all of those things, and you keep it spicy. You have to keep it spicy. Like, women want to be found attractive, men want to also be found needed, wanted in many different ways. But there's work that's got to be done to do that. And that means that you need to find a balance. Doesn't mean that you let go of being a mother. Doesn't mean you let go of being a wife. It means you find a balance between the two. And you may need to get little Johnny to the babysitter for a night. You may need to get your husband to take care of little Johnny for a night so you can go have some time off. You may need to be taking care of little Johnny so your husband can go have some time off, and it be a healthy relationship with open communication. But we're speaking in a perfect world, not everybody has that. And some people work really hard at it. And I just think, all of this just goes back, right? I believe, to your upbringing. It's hard to change a relationship when your upbringing has been so different. If you never communicate, how do you communicate with a partner?
Right. Well, and I think a lot of people have said, and I've heard this in different situations, marriages used to last a long time before. And my response to that is, yeah, maybe they lived under the same roof, but it doesn't mean that they had a marriage. It doesn't mean that they had a relationship. It just means that maybe they gave off the appearance that they still had something there when, maybe they didn't. Maybe they slept in separate bedrooms, which, by the way, a lot of research has said that that's actually healthy. So not necessarily.
That's how it worked. At least, where my parents are from, I remember my grandma and my grandpa having separate beds. They slept in separate beds. And I've heard actually of a few people saying, that they don't actually live under the same roof as their partner. They're married. They live a full-blown married life, but they don't live under the same roof. So, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to be said about that, right? But I think the people, it depends on what you want. It really does. And I think we're at a time in life where you can say what you want and then you can have it.
And not only that, because of dating apps, as you evolve and your ideas change and you grow and you mature, and I know I felt it as a woman, as I get more comfortable in my skin, which translates as I get more comfortable knowing what I want,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I will not tolerate. That means that if you're not doing it for me, I can just find somebody else that will.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When I want it, if I want it, however many times I want it, whether it's just dating, whether it's more than dating, whether it's whatever it is, I don't need to stay with you just because we agreed to be married, right?
Right. Right. I think that's very much changed. I don't think that you stay in a marriage now for the sake of staying in a marriage, or for the kids, or el que dirán, like, no, now you're staying in a marriage because you want to. Now things are so different, right? Like, it's not, I think this is where I would say, and this is probably a podcast for another day, that marriage is not taken as seriously as it used to be. Relationships are not taken as seriously as it used to be. And I don't mean, that people are more open to being in open relationships. I mean that, it is that if you're open to being in an open relationship, you take that seriously. Because as we had the conversation the other day, right? There's a commitment, a sense of integrity and loyalty that goes into that. It's not just, oh, we're in an open relationship. Oh, no, there's a little bit more than that, right? The same thing, right? If you're in a traditional relationship, there's a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now it's kind of like nothing is really taken seriously. That commitment, whatever commitment you make, regardless of which relationship you choose to be in, that commitment is lacking.
Because it's so easy to replace people because of dating apps.
So don't go on a dating app. Stay away from them.
Or in our case, go on a dating app to realize, you know what, it's just easier to stay single.
This is where I'm where I need to be. Great. I love this.
Right? You know what? Whatever you have at home, it's better than a dating app. So just keep it.
Stick to that, whatever it may be.
Yeah, dating apps, like anything, have pros and cons, right? So I don't know. Maybe they're good entertainment for sure. And yes, some people are successful at finding their person for a while or a lifetime or a couple of days. Whatever it might be.
Whatever it is that they're looking for, right? We're all looking for something different.
But you know what, Diane? I think you and I will create the perfect dating app one day with no fail.
I hope so. We'll have many successful stories of love.
In the meantime, we'll continue to talk about it in these conversations, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that the more that time goes on, the more that we'll have to talk about when it comes to dating in this day and age. 2022, I feel like it's going to be an interesting year, and we'll see what we see there that happens when it comes to dating.
Yeah. Maybe I'll convert you to the dark side.
Maybe I'll convert you to this side.
No, I've been there.
Bring you to light.
I've been there. Got the t-shirt. I'm good.
Like, no thanks. But I think that's the wonderful part, right, of talking about these conversations, talking about these things, because we have two different perspectives, right? And yet we're on the same boat.
Yeah.
We're on the same boat. So I think this is good stuff. It's not just one perspective. It's different. And I think it creates a good conversation. Really, really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So until our next episode.
Yes, until the next one.
This has definitely been fun. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about next.
Me too. Well, it was great talking to you. And we'll keep people tuned into what we talk about next.
Yeah, and I think if people are interested in letting us know, maybe they have certain topics or certain things that they'd like us to talk about, I think they can go over to Shifted Perspective Consulting website and send us, a little message of what they would like us to talk about, and we will probably talk about it.
We probably will. Yes, for sure. Well, it was great spending some time with you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, take care.
You too.